Hi, church family. We miss seeing you all and can't wait for the day to be together again. In the meantime, I'm here to do the midweek devotional. For those that don't know me, I am Brittany Dunlap. Our family has been attending Shamley for over 12 years. I'm a full-time working mom and love to volunteer in many different ways, one of being the SPR chair here at Shamley. You might also know me by my two full-of-life, very energetic daughters. The day Russ and I got married is still one of the best memories. We had a traditional United Methodist wedding and an extremely fun reception afterwards. On that day, before we said our vows, we read the following scripture, Colossians 3:12-15. Therefore, as God's chosen people, holy and dearly loved, clothe yourself with compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience. Bear with each other and forgive one another if any of you has a grievance against someone. Forgive as the Lord forgave you. And over all these virtues put on love, which binds them all together in perfect unity. Let the peace of Christ rule in your hearts, since as members of one body you are called to peace, and be thankful. This scripture is something I go back and look at frequently, making sure I'm living by this for me personally, in my marriage, and with God. Especially during this time, I ask myself, am I showing compassion? Am I being kind? Do I have patience? It's also made me realize you don't take vows the day your children are born. What do we promise to our children from the day they are born? If we had vows for that day, what would they look like? What should be included? Many of us baptize our children when they are infants and profess our faith to our church family, for God, and to our child. But still, what are the vows you say for the life you would provide, teach, and guide your children through? This hit me as parenting has looked very different these past 2 months. It honestly has been the biggest stressor for me during these new uncertain times. Are my kids falling behind in school? Am I teaching them correctly? Are they staying connected to their faith? Will the girls still be friends after being with each other non-stop? Am I working too much and not being present with them? Then I saw this article on social media and try to keep it in mind when I start having those go through my head. In 2030, college kid says, in history class, we learned about the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020. Was really bad. What was it like? Parent, well, everything was shut down in an attempt to kill the virus, but not everyone followed the order to quarantine for 15 days, so it lasted longer than anyone expected. Many people died who shouldn't have. Grocery stores were out of everything because people were hoarding as much as they could. We were scared of economic failure for our country and for ourselves because we couldn't work. Don't you remember? You were 8, the college kid says. All I remember was the school closing and being homeschooled. I remember doing scavenger hunts in our yard. I remember eating meals as a family for a change. I remember great sleep because I wasn't up late for homework or getting up early for school. I remember board games as a family. I remember watching our pastor on a laptop. Honestly, it was the happiest time of my childhood. This article got me thinking. It reminded me not to lose perspective. Little things will happen to reassure me of this as well, and everything will be okay, and I am doing the best that I can. For example, my 7-year-old decided to paint rocks and sell them so she could raise money to buy food for people who were in need during this time. She also said a prayer at dinner about watching over the sick. This is huge. She hasn't wanted to pray out loud before, and she did that and included that all on her own. The kids, Russ and I, have been together non-stop since March 13th. I don't have the daily commute for my alone time to unwind. I actually don't have any me time at all. I appreciate all these times together, but they aren't easy. I have to remind myself that the scripture at my wedding, show compassion, kindness, and patience, and most of all, be thankful. It's been nice to be home together. And also have my friends call, text, and check in on each other. We send each other funny memes, share stories, or what our kids did for the week. We're there for each other. I sit back and reflect on the changes that have occurred and find myself wondering, which of these will continue after all of this? What will be the new norm? Which will fade away? What will my kids remember from like the story I mentioned above? The days of the hustle and the bustle with work, school, homework, activities, bedtime, repeat. But what will be new? What will stay? Family game nights, movie nights, walks into our schedule? What once used to be unacceptable, if your dog barked, your kids yelled, or better yet, your kids showed up in the middle of a meeting during a conference call, now brings smiles and laughter to call. It provides that comic relief to everyone. We found ourselves getting closer to some as well. For example, our Sunday school class meets on Wednesdays during the week. We've gotten closer to some people I don't think I ever would have. Our virtual Sunday school classes, it's keeping us connected. No one was trained how to navigate these times, but we're quickly watching people adapt, learn, be creative, which has been amazing. Generations are coming together, staff jumping in where they can, our congregations supporting one another. So think about this. What are the vows your parents should have written for you when you were born, or the ones you would have written for your children, or even your nieces and nephews that are like children to you? Were you fulfilling those before these times, during these times, and even after these times? I can't wait to be with everyone again. Until then, reach out to a friend or two, call a loved one, send an email to someone you haven't talked to in a while, and ask yourself what those vows would be to your children, and are you fulfilling those? As the signs in the Dunwoody area say, everything will be okay. Or as the scripture says, let the peace of Christ rule in your hearts. And remind yourself to show compassion, kindness, and patience, and be thankful. Have a wonderful week, Chambly family and friends. We miss you and can't wait to talk to you again soon. Thank you.